Hey, good people. You are watching and listening to Worthyish with Maria Bush. I am your host, Maria Bush. You know, this show, we go behind the curtains with everyday heroes who have took their journey to success, and some way around their life, they teetered their own self-worth. And so we're going to talk a lot about how they were able to break through that feeling of not feeling enough, their worthiness. And so stay tuned. We have special guests for each episode, so you won't be disappointed. Hey, good people. Today I have some special guests, and we're going to talk about something that I'm very passionate about. And these ladies, one is native of Nebraska and one is from Kansas City. And they are Queen Vibes Kansas City. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Kayla and Olivia, can you all tell me a little bit about y'all's background and how you all came together as business owners? It's pretty awesome, y'all's story. When I was reading and researching it, it's pretty dope. So I want the audience to know what you all do and how you all became.
You want to kick it off?
Sure. So I'm Kayla and I'm from Kansas City. Olivia from Nebraska. And basically we are both educators by trade. And so we both did Teach for America and end up getting placed in Kansas City. And then kind of toward the pandemic, like we became friends, you know, a few black girls in a large, predominantly white space. We immediately gravitated towards each other. But then as we got into education, the pandemic hit, and I just kind of had this like idea for a business, and I wanted to do wellness, but I can be very all over the place. I can be very big picture, very like carnival-esque. And so I was talking to Olivia about an idea, and she was just so good at like helping me like dial it down and just asking questions respectfully of like getting me to kind of tailor it. And so after I was like, hey, do you want to do this with me? And she's just like, yeah. And so here we are. And she was teaching a workout class at One Life gym downtown. And we were noticing like, okay, this space is fun. It's great. We love what we're doing. But where are we at? Like, we can't see us in the room. And so we kind of developed our idea out of that. And it just kind of went. You can.
So yeah, I love group fitness classes. Like I love teaching them obviously, but like I'm a big class pass girl. Like I'm just not always like gonna get motivated by myself like at home, or you know, I like to be able to just like see other people doing it. And like Kayla said, like I would go to a lot of places and just not see people that like looked like me, both in terms of like shade and then also shape and all these different things. And so while it wasn't like I wasn't welcome, it was just like it would be so cool if like you could come into a space and just like exist and not second guess yourself. And so I think it was just really cool to see that kind of like come together, because like Kayla said, we did Teach for America. So I didn't traditionally train as a teacher. I actually studied business in college. And so that's kind of where some of those like just questions happened to stem from. And so I remember when she called me, she was just like, hey, like I have a question for you. And I knew right away that she was going to be like, let's do this together. And I was just like, yep.
That is dope. Listen, because you can't do business with your friends, all your friends.
No.
Don't even get us started.
Right.
Different podcast.
Yeah. Come on. A whole another topic.
Yes.
Listen, but y'all came together and made it work. Wow, that's awesome. I mean, you know, as I think about you all's backgrounds, I think about, you know, I'm part of my business, I'm a movement therapist, and getting that certification, I was the only one in the room, right? And shaped as I am. And so I had questions of, you know, are you a dancer? Do you have dance background? And just because I have thick thighs, full lips doesn't make me not a dancer. And so being challenged in that environment, I wonder how you all challenged those messages in your business, and was it challenged during your process in doing this? Because being fitness and bringing this to the community, I'm sure you guys ran into those naysayers and stereotypes.
I think that we laugh because I think that we both have a thick enough skin. People love to like be like, oh, I just love how y'all are like regular build, like just look real normal. We're like, thank you. So, but I think like they do mean it with like true, like it's nice to see someone who's not just like, oh, you know, sometimes you think of like a group fitness instructor, you think like tiny waist, abs, like no cellulite, nothing. And I think something that Kayla and I do is like we like try to be almost as body neutral as we can be. Like we try not to make it like you're not here to like get drilled and like you're not leaving until you burn XYZ amount. It's like, you know, we do like turn your Apple Watches on at the beginning so you could see what you did, but like we just really try to put joy into like just moving your body and like coming and just like doing something for yourself, like more the process than like the product.
Yeah. And I feel like, to be honest, like we have been very blessed in the sense that we have been welcomed in a lot of spaces in Kansas City, but I will also say that it speaks to our journey in the sense that we know that we're a token in certain spaces, right? Like we know that people like that we're bubbly and we're very well kept and put together. And so we know that if some of our counterparts or some of our sisters might go into that same space, they may not get the same treatment, right? And like we network really well in Kansas City, and so a lot of the spaces that we've gotten to be in, we feel very blessed to be there, and we use that space to make sure we tap on it, right? Like we may not come in and be like, where the black people at? But we make sure we come in, we're like, hey, like we need this opportunity, and here's why, or this is where the disparity is, or you know. So when it comes to like trying to get money or trying to get funding or trying to get exposure, that is kind of our space to get to advocate for people who may not have the same opportunities or not even know that there are places giving out grants and things like that to small businesses. But so far as like in our actual business space, we've been really welcomed by all different types of people. Like we were thinking like this is our target market, but then we come out and all the aunties, we got white, black, everybody, they like love our space. So we're like, okay, we can do that too. Like if that's our people, that's our people.
Right.
You know, we've had different people, and not even really in a fitness space, be like, oh, you don't think that that's kind of racist as well to target the black community? Like we've had those comments, and it'll be like, nope. Like I mean, I don't know what you want us to tell, but this is what we do, and this is why we do it. Anybody can come, anybody's welcome. We got 1 million people saying, "Where's King Vibes at?" And it's like, you can come, you are welcome. You can come kick it with us. But this one really is geared towards, or is within mind. We're thinking about black women as we create this space.
I love that. You know, when you think about black women and our health and mental health.
Yes.
We are highest risk of hypertension, stroke, lupus, name it, all these physical ailments. How do you all tackle that in informing? Yes, we have fun, but also giving them knowledge and informing them of the potential risk that they carry.
I think for me, it's just like really framing what we do as like preventative health, and like really naming that, like, you know, food is medicine in a lot of ways. Like exercise can be medicine in a lot of ways. And like you really get one body to like love and honor and take care of. And like the more you can like find ways that it's not a chore and it's not something that like you feel shame and like you have to do this because of XYZ, but it can be something that's like, oh, I can go see my girls. Like I'm gonna go, like I know they're gonna have my favorite song play, and it's just something you look forward to in your routine. Then it doesn't make it feel like this like task that is just like looming over you all week.
I love that.
I think we try to learn as much as we can. Like I know at the beginning, Olivia was like really good about being like, hey, when we're doing abs, like I'm gonna go around and like check people's form, right? Because like yes, like the person in the back could be doing it, but maybe hurting their back and things like that. Like things we just don't think about, or that I don't think about. She's really good about that. Or like if we have someone come in at like our events, we try to center it around something educational. So we did like a financial one where it's like, hey, get your finances in order, because that stress will kill you, right? And like money for the black community is an important topic. We don't beat people over the head with it like, y'all, the black community don't have anything. We don't do that. But it's like, hey, let's provide a little information. Like she said, a great space. And so it just kind of it has been coming together, you know, randomly.
Our first summer, we actually had an event, maybe think of this, called Wellness Worthy. And we brought in like just different women, and our business was like a month old at this point, and just different people within the wellness and fitness community to just like speak on things. And it was just really powerful to see just different perspectives, and just also just always this really humbling reminder of how much like Black women carry with us, seen and unseen. And so
come on,
yeah,
speak on that. Yes, I would love to hear your insights on that, especially in the industry that you're in. Sometimes when you are in that space, you feel safe, you feel relaxed.
Right.
I recommend my clients when they have depression, anxiety, to exercise, and so I'm sure when you have individuals come in, they feel safe and they open up and share. So what are some things, or what are some types of things you're hearing from clients? The mask that they carry and wear.
So I think like I kind of have a twofold answer to that. So I think like class-wise, we have heard time and time again, like we have clients come back and be like, this is my moment. Like my husband already know if I don't go nowhere, I'm coming to this class on Tuesday.
Yes.
We better find a babysitter, better do whatever, because this is where I'm going to
Or
be.
he's asking why she hasn't been going.
Yeah, like what? Your attitude ain't right. You ain't been going to your step class, you know, like, and it's so energizing to hear that, especially as we don't do this full time. We both work full-time jobs. I teach middle school, so enough said. She's working with early childhood and teachers, and so we come from a very heavy space. And so, and then on top of that, we wear a million hats. She's a wife, right? And like I live in a home with multiple people. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. And so that space, like creating that space for people to come and feel, you know, like they can talk. Like we have an icebreaker before class where we do a question, because it's kind of like it's hard for you to come in and just feel vulnerable. There's mirrors all around you. You looking at you looking at her. Even if you don't mean to, you're thinking about what you like, your skill level and all the things. Sometimes does play a role, but you know, so we gotta just do an icebreaker question. It's like a crazy question. Like we might say, like, you know, like would you rather date somebody who like wears their clothes too small or wears their clothes too big? And then you have to go find someone you don't know, right? And so now you've laughed with somebody, and now working out, you can be like, girl, because you now you know them a little bit. So that's kind of how we do it in class.
Yeah, no one will leave not knowing somebody else's name or us not knowing their name, which I think makes a bigger difference than people realize. Because then when they come back and we can greet them by name, you know, it's so good to see you again. Like I think that's what really makes an impact in people again.
Olivia is so good at names. She be on their name, and so she's like, "Now, don't you work out?" I'm like, "How did you remember that?" Meanwhile, I'm just like, "Hey, cousin."
Right. Both are great.
I mean it genuinely.
Like, I appreciate you coming again. Oh my gosh, that's real. I think, you know, I was talking to other guests, and community is so important.
Yes.
We're still post-COVID, where we had to isolate and be to ourselves, and now we're trying to come back out. And I have a lot of clients who deal with anxiety and social anxiety, because they're like, I've been locked up in my house for 2 years, and now you want me out like nothing happened, you know? And so I'm glad that you all are creating this space for community. It's so important. One thing I love working with folks who give, but I always ask, how are you giving to yourself? In the spaces that y'all creating, are you creating a space for you?
So I would say, yes, we do create space for ourselves. I would say it is a journey and it is continuous, because first of all, having a business partner versus just like working by yourself, and I'm sure working with your sister, you knew this, that like it's always a relationship thing. Like you're gonna have to continuously work on where you are, and so that means that we're always talking about like, how does our business look? Like what do we want it to be? And we were just talking about this earlier. I was saying, you know, I'm starting to realize that like my vision for our business always has to do with where I am in life, right? Like if I feel like I'm at a space where I need to be more on my fitness journey, and I need to be, and I feel uncomfortable in my body, I'm like, our classes need to be more rigorous, because that's how I'm feeling at the moment. You know, if I'm feeling really excited and fun and silly, I'm like, ooh, fun class. Like I think class should just be for the girls. Like it just really depends. But we've learned to kind of center it, and like we've learned like, okay, we need to pick one thing that we do. Like what do we do? What is it gonna be? Leave it there, and then as long as that thing fills our cup, we're good. And so like when we come to class and finding some consistency in it, because even on my worst days, by the end of class, I'm always cracking up laughing. I'm always like, y'all, I had a horrible day today, if you didn't know. I feel so good. Like, I'm so glad I came today. And so just kind of even giving that vulnerability back to our clients and our customers, I think it kind of gets, it levels me out.
That's definitely. I love when you come in a bad mood and leave in a good mood, though. Because I just know it's going to happen.
No, track season. I coach track, and our girls will be like, how was track practice? Like, because they already know.
Because again, that will tell you how class might go.
Yeah.
Right.
It can be a little intense.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think, just the workout itself is honestly like a great thing for me, because that is like my consistent, if I work out once this week, it's at class. And like sometimes, with things ebb and flow, like sometimes one person show up, and sometimes we be looking at each other like, I'm like, either way, I need to get a workout in too, so let's go. So, and holding space. And then just boundaries, figuring out what boundaries are, what they look like for me, and how do I stick to them. You can't always expect other people to just follow exactly what you said. It's your boundary. And so I think, just as Kayla said, owning a business, working with a friend who feels like a sister and a business partner, marriage, all these things, just like figuring out like what can I put where without letting something fall off the table. And when something inevitably does fall off, how do I pick it back up and give myself grace?
That's good.
So,
And I think it's even more challenging, when you are trying to figure that out for yourself, and then including a business partner in that. So it's a lot of communication.
Definitely.
A lot. Has it sharpened and grown your relationship working together? And has it grown your sisterhood working
Absolutely. Kayla and I, we were not best friends when we started this. Which is almost like, when people are like, oh, don't live with your best friend, when you go to college or whatever. Yeah. I feel like it was almost like that of we knew that we really vibed, and we had a chemistry together that I think honestly is what gets us into a lot of spaces. Yeah. But we've had to really be so honest with ourselves, apologize to each other, to ourselves, walk things back and say, I said that, but I didn't mean this, or I said it and I did mean it. What do you want to do? It's been very humbling, but in a way that has just it's family now.
And it teaches you good communication skills. It's interesting because she's a lot like my mom. And so I feel like I always get a twofold learning every time, because every time I end up working something out with her, I'm like, my mom said something so similar to me, and if that's what Olivia meant, then this is what she meant, which means that I said this and I know her feelings are hurt, and I need to go back now, and I'll be able to backtrack. But it's so helpful, because to me, that is something that, being a teacher, I know that that's one thing that I work so hard at, is being a good communicator and helping kids communicate their emotions really well and things like that, because I've seen it go so wrong, and I've seen how this relationship has just strengthened who I am in a lot of different spaces. I'm able to communicate with people in ways that, it's funny, people in relationships, I'm look, now I ain't got no husband, but I'm going to tell you this is what I think. And, sometimes it's kind of you can't give that advice because you're not in that space. But I've been in such strong relationships, and I've worked through them, that some stuff is just a golden rule. It's if it works here, it's going to work there. And so it has been such a blessing to be able to see it work to where people can't tell me, you can't be friends with your business partner, or it has to turn sour, it has to be this, or because I'm no, that's not true. And, my parents have been married for 31 years. And so sometimes I take that relationship and I bring it here and try to, see how can I communicate in that way. And so it's been interesting. I don't always recommend it to people. When people are like, oh, we want to start a business, I'm like, right, okay, girl. I'm make sure that you whatever. But it's been quite interesting.
It has. It's you just sent me that thing the other day. It was something about conversations in the car be therapy, because I feel sometimes we'll boil to a point where we're both kind of not saying what we're thinking, or we feel each other's energy, but we both know we're not there's an elephant in the room, and it always ends up with us getting in one of the other person's car, sitting there for 2 hours crying, talking.
Because by the end of the day, it's okay, even if we can try to stall each other out for business, we actually friends. So it's I actually got tea to tell this girl. Right. We going to the same party on Friday. We need to talk. So it ends up, or it's opposite of I can skip the party, but I got to see you on Tuesday at class. Right. And our energy does, or our chemistry with each other does bring a safe space and create safe space for clients. And so I never want to be in a space where it's fake, or I'm trying to put I don't fake it well. So we need to be on one accord so that
Right.
the class is what it needs to be for everybody.
Yeah.
I think too, something that's like been helpful for me to like remind myself of is just like this idea of like radical acceptance in a lot of ways. Again, that I think about with my marriage, because sometimes it is like my second marriage. It's just like really like not constantly like being like, if only this was true or blah, blah, blah. Like we are so different from each other. Like, but I think that is like what helps us sustain, because like we can fill in those gaps for each other. And also it's like, in one of my fellowships, it was like, don't ask a cat to be a dog, don't ask a dog to be a cat. Like, just let them do dog things. And so it's like figuring out, like, if I know Kayla doesn't know how to do something or like doesn't like doing something, and I know how to do it, like, I don't need to ask her to do it just for the sake of it feeling equal or whatever, you know, just like, I'm gonna just do it.
And that is such a blessing, because I'd be like, oh, I know she think I'm lazy, but I really just don't know how to do that.
That's real. I think that's the beauty of relationships. You can look at who's strong in what and bring that together to create the sustaining relationship. On that, I wonder, what are some things that people should, specifically women who are friends that are considering going into business together, what should they consider?
Their why they want to do it. That's what we always go back to when things get hard, our why. And it's those people who come and say, this is my safe space, this is my self-care. And like, I think, I mean, we work in education, and I work in nonprofit, so I think we do a lot of like social emotional work where we're talking about your personal why, your personal mission and stuff like that. But I think just as like a bare minimum baseline, like if you're going in it with somebody else, that would be my like simplest answer.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think once you like, you know why you want to do something, I think you have to like visit your values and make sure your values align to what you're doing. And that not necessarily that we have the exact same values in the same exact order, but the thing that we do together aligns with who I am. Like like she said, we are very different people. And like when I look at my values and I look at what matters to me in my life, then I have to look and say, okay, does Queen Vibe serve that? Because if not, it's gonna bump and rub every time. And so it's like, if this thing that we do together serves this purpose, then we're good, right? Like, and then the why, if it's like something you're actually passionate about, both of you on the same page. And like, if you're somebody who is willing to kind of go back to the drawing board so often and apologize and be humble and speak up, it's like, you should be fine. But like, I don't know, it's really hard. It is really hard. Like I think certain businesses just don't need two people, but that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing.
Right. And that's, I think too, asking yourself, is this something that is a career for us, or is it something that we do that happens to make some money and it's something we can do on the side? I think those are also two very different.
That's good. Because one could look at it as, this is a hustle, this is a hobby, where the other one's like, no, this is, I want to grow this to where we're going to other states.
Because really, anybody could have a business.
It's true.
You know? So it's like,
because for what we do, this works. Like I think that we are still, even though growing, because this is new for us, like 2 years is not honestly that long. And so we're still trying to grow and understand. We're also like, I just turned 30 and she's in her late 20s. So it's like, this is also like a pivotal time in life. And you have to think about those things too, because me as a single woman and her as a married woman, I have to consider that when I'm thinking about what I want for my life, because I can't just be like, you know what, I can quit my job today and we can try to do this. This lady cannot just do that. Like, she got somebody else to ask.
Alex probably would honestly be
Alex is on board. He would honestly be like, do you? Like, he's like here for it. But, you know, you just have to really consider where you are, because also we are at the beginning of our first careers. And so we still ebb and flow in that sometimes of like, I love it here, I want to quit. So it's like, it's just, you know, consider all the things.
Wow. So it's almost like you all would be evolving together.
Always.
Yeah.
I feel like
we've been through so many phases.
For sure.
And there's phases we want to be in. And that's hard too.
I think that's the other thing too with starting business, just the willingness to pivot. Because people want to be like, no, this is what I have, this is what I want. Like, and you just get so tunnel vision, and it's like you're missing out on all these opportunities and blessings and things that maybe you never even thought of. And like that's been huge, I think, for us, is just saying yes to sometimes crazy things, but and sometimes things that did not serve us, but
makes for a good story.
Everything happens for a reason. So
and that makes me think, the more we put effort and time into something, it's harder to let it go and release it.
Totally.
And so I totally get that. But it sounds like you all hold each other accountable in that. When it's time, it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. What are some tips that you guys would recommend women look at as far as for their health, fitness,
I mean,
when they're on their journey? Because I talk to so many women that, I want to get there, but I just don't know how to get started.
There's a lot of different things.
So I would say, like, personally, my journey got really on track once personally, like, I'm a very spiritual person. And so for me, it was my faith. Like, I needed some sort of like discipline, because even though, like, you can mess up and you can get off the wagon, get back on, all the things. But for me, I needed consistency and I needed structure in my life. And so, especially in a time when everything was just so up in the air. And so for me, it was like I needed to know who I was spiritually so I could know what I actually wanted. And then after I could figure that out, then I had, like, that discipline came in different areas of my life at the same time, and I was able to start to see results. But I would say, like, honestly, just start somewhere. Start somewhere, because it's like if you just never even try anything, then nothing will work. Find some community, because somebody else holding you accountable is always going to be, it's going to be key, because you're not going to hold yourself accountable all the time. But then also just make sure you're ready. Like, if you genuinely want to do it, because that was my other thing. I've been on and off of all these different, I've been on millions of diets and things just because I didn't really know why I wanted to be, like, I didn't have anything centering me. And so I was trying to just attack these little pieces of my life instead of kind of attacking what the root cause of, like, my chaos was. And then I was able to kind of get it together. And once I knew for sure that I wanted to be healthy, I wanted, like, holistically healthy. I didn't want to be skinny, because that's what I thought at first, is that I wanted to look a certain way. But once I started to be like, I want to feel a certain way, like, I want to feel okay, I want to be at peace. And so, like, those kind of words are easier to attack than, like, I want to be thin. I want my hips to look this way. I want my appearance to look a certain way, when it was like, no, I realized I don't sleep that well. And so when I can't sleep, I have a bad day. Like, I want to feel peace. Like, I don't want to compare myself and feel insecure. Like, those are the things. It's like, okay, well, so how do you get there? Well, I be eating crazy stuff. I be drinking a margarita every day. And then, it's just all the things, right? Like, you have a Planet Fitness membership and you don't go. It's like, okay, Kayla, like, get all those things together. Try one at a time. And I started going to the Planet Fitness. And then, I don't know, like, you do one thing consistently, and a lot of the other things, they kind of just fall in line. They do.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't concrete, but
no, I don't think it needed to be. It's a very broad thing. And it needs to be a lot of things. I think I'd echo a lot what Kayla said, and then I think for me, something that's really helpful is just really being mindful of my self-talk, both, like, internally and outwardly. I grew up with a mom who was very, like, hyping me up all the time. If she saw me getting weight, she would name it, but in a way that was like, it's winter, girl. Like, everybody goes that way in the winter. And so I think, like, just really be mindful of, like, how we speak to, our daughters, nieces, kids is important. But then also, like, when you're, like, New Year's rolls around, thinking about the way you set goals. Like, instead of setting, like, unrealistic, well, maybe not unrealistic, but just things that sometimes we set ourselves up to fail because, oh, like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year. Maybe it's just like, I'm not a runner. My goal is, like, I want to grow my endurance this year. So my goal is I want to run 1 mile without stopping. Then you can actually say, like, I did this, or, like, I can make a plan to do this. Like, those bite-sized things that, like, once you get one, it's like, ooh, I can add something on. But just, I think sometimes we're so quick to say something about ourselves because we think everyone's thinking it. And so it's like, if I can beat them to it, like, but really, like, the more we say that stuff, we let it be almost like become who we are in some ways without us even realizing it. And so just really thinking about, like, what can my body do? Like when I'm looking at my arms, like, dang, it's like, these are the arms that I give my husband hugs with. Like, these are the things that help me drive my car, get me to work. Like, they do so much for me, you know? And so just like holding that at the center and just holding like, there's so much privilege that come with this body. Let me love on it. I think that is something that has helped me let go of Instagram and everybody else, the girl who could eat 6 cheeseburgers and have a 6-pack. I'm just like, that's just not a realistic thing for me. And like, there's so many things that my body can do that I can just be happy with. So
that's good.
Yeah.
And I think like making it a you thing, like you just said, and like not a someone else thing. Like your journey got to be for you. Like it's so easy for us to project our emotions onto what other people are doing. And I know like that was one thing when I first started my journey. I'd kind of be like, why every time we go out, everybody want to get drinks? Like I don't understand. Like why is everybody so obsessed? And it's like. That don't have nothing to do with me. If you don't want to drink, don't get one. Like that's all it takes. Like you order water. Like mind your business. And then like what they're doing doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it. And if it bothers you so much, why do you go?
Right.
And it's just like I had to really kind of come to that of like why is that what I'm saying? Or like why do I feel like they have to do it for me to do it? And so just kind of take that piece of like, what do I do? And like that can change because like you said, like their body is their body. And to even think that you should be like, well, she can, she doesn't have to, that's not your business.
It's not.
And it's not your place, that ain't your journey. So don't even speak on that because now you tear her down for what? So it's like, and you, once you get to where you want to be, you don't want nobody tearing you down. So like, you know, and so like, I think that, and then like also just being reflective, like positively reflective, like, is so helpful because like you will look like I never wanted to run because I was like I get shin splints, I hate running outside, it's so boring, like all these things. And it wasn't until I was going to Planet Fitness every day and realizing that, and this is not a plug for Planet Fitness, I promise. I have my bone to pick with them sometimes.
Disclaimer.
I know it real for real. Like they get on my nerves sometimes too. They do. But it just happens to be a few minutes from my house, so I get to go before work.
That's nice.
And so after I started consistently going, and I had my routine of like, okay, get on the treadmill for this many minutes, and then I started to be like, oh, honey, I just walked that mile in way less than I used. Like I've already hit the mile mark. Now I can go do this. So then I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna walk my dog, and so I start walking him further, or like I'll run with him, and I'm like, dang, I just hit 2 miles, like, and I'm not tired of my shins don't hurt. It's like, oh, maybe my shins and stuff was hurting because I was so out of shape, and I wasn't doing it, wasn't doing it properly, wasn't wearing the right shoes. All the things that I thought were just like excuses and roadblocks was just like, dang, like I look back now and I'm like, I don't have to be like, oh, I'm not a runner. It's like, I can run, actually. Like, no, it's not my favorite thing to do, but I can do it. And so it's like, oh, I go to the gym, I can lift weights. Like, I can do these things now, you know? And so looking back and being like, dang, look at this progress. Like, I may not be 100 pounds down, but I am very proud of this progress. Like I'm proud of this space that I'm in.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that builds confidence when you're able to celebrate those small accomplishments. It's like, listen, I got this. I'm doing it.
Right.
And this is going to help me keep carrying on. So I love that.
Yeah. I think the only other thing to that question too would be, I feel like healthcare, unfortunately, like in our country, is a privilege, like sometimes not even an attainable privilege in itself. And so just like really taking time to try and find different resources. Kayla was a part of a really cool program last year where she was able to get access to all sorts of different practitioners and all these different things. And so I think just like keeping eyes open and trying to do your research, because I know as Black women, it's just, it's hard.
And that's something they don't tell you when everybody's hollering open a business. You ain't got no benefits. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that's not to say don't open a business, but I'm saying like, we do have to like be mindful of the pros and cons of like what we're doing, like what matters to you. And so I'm never discouraging people from working from corporate or working a corporate job or things like that, because that stuff is important. Like my brother, he works really hard at a job that he may not necessarily love, but he has benefits for his family. His kids can go see the doctor, they can go see the dentist when they need to. And that stuff matters down the line, you know. And so like even I'm at work, I'll be calling my mama. I'm like, Mom, I don't know what I'm doing. They're asking me, do I want to switch HMOPPO, something. I don't even know. Tell me what this is because I need to go. I need to be able to go to the doctor. And so I ended up getting spiral care. But I make use of it. Like I call, what can y'all do for me? And you have to ask those questions. I didn't know you can get your ears cleared there. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like figure out what kind of things are available for whatever coverage you do have.
Right.
And go get it. Use it up.
That's good because you have for every right. Short-term disability. I even have a lot of clients who use short-term disability for mental health. They need to take 3 months off. Use it. That's your benefit, right? And so I'm glad you brought that up. It's important. But yes, ladies, well, I definitely enjoyed this conversation. You all are beautiful women and successful and just continue to shine bright because we need y'all's gifts. Yes. Is there one thing that you guys want to leave with the audience?
I would say that wellness is a journey, and it, in some sense, is a marathon and not a sprint. Of like, you have to be willing to like pick yourself back up and try again the next day, and you have to be okay with like not being okay for a little bit, but not staying in it. And remembering that also, like, wellness for Black women, as much as everything else is already on our back, it's almost like a privilege that you get to be an example to somebody else, because it's so good to have a testimony at the end of it. And I know that a lot of things in our lives is like, I got to do this for this person. I also had this person relying on me and this and that. But when somebody is like, girl, I saw you and Olivia doing that. I was trying it at home. I'm like, okay, girl. Like, and that makes me feel so good that somebody else, I didn't even know them, but they noticed that there was a smile or a joy about me that they just like, dang, how do I get to that? If you're going to take anything on, take that on. Like, get up and make that your testimony.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. And I think I would echo that, and then just reminding yourself that, like, it is emphasis, like, your journey. Like, it is not productive to compare it to somebody else's, to let yourself feel shame looking at somebody else's, any of those things. Like, and journey in the sense of, like, I don't really think there is ever a destination that you're going to get to, because your body's always going to change. Like, maybe you give birth, we're going to get older, you're going to lose weight, you're going to gain weight. Like, there's never going to be a point where your body's going to be the exact same way for an extended amount of time. And so just maybe, like, letting yourself, like, find peace in that, and maybe find, like, ways to look forward to that, and finding ways to adapt to take care and love on your body. And so I think just,
That's good. It's good. Y'all dropped these gems today. I'm so full. Listen. Yes. How can everybody get in touch with you? Because I know folks are going to want to continue this conversation or want to attend some of your events. How can they get in touch with you?
They can find us everywhere at Queen Vibes KC. So Instagram, Queen Vibes KC at Gmail, if they want to reach out to us.
Website.
Website, queenvibeskc.com.
Facebook.
So, TikTok might be some variation, but
we're working on TikTok.
We're working on that. Yeah, we'll tag it in our Instagram. Yes, we're trying. Yeah, but that's where you can find us.
Oh, good. Well, awesome, ladies. Awesome. I appreciate y'all so much.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for having us.
And making this space.
Yes. Well, awesome, good people. This has been another episode of Worthyish with Maria Bush. I'm your host, Maria Bush. Until next time, continue to stop working for what you were born with, and that is worth. All right.